Feeling empty is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is a signal from your mind and heart that something in your life needs attention. Emptiness often arises when we disconnect from ourselves, from purpose, or from meaningful connection with others. We may fill our days with distractions, achievements, or routines, thinking that staying busy will mask the void, but true fulfillment cannot be found in avoidance. The feeling of emptiness is an invitation to pause, reflect, and reconnect with what truly matters. It is your inner self urging you to explore, understand, and nurture the parts of life that bring meaning, purpose, and joy. One of the main reasons you feel empty is a lack of purpose. When you are not actively pursuing something that matters deeply to you, life can feel hollow. Purpose is not necessarily grand or public. It can be small, personal, and meaningful. It might be a goal, a passion, or a consistent act of contribution that gives you a sense of direction. When you lose sight of purpose, days blend together, and even achievements feel unsatisfying. Reconnecting with purpose requires reflection, identifying what you value, what energizes you, and what kind of life you want to build. Taking intentional steps toward meaningful goals fills the emptiness with forward motion and renewed energy. Another reason for emptiness is disconnection from your emotions. Many people push aside uncomfortable feelings or ignore the subtleties of joy, sadness, or longing, hoping that life will feel better if they suppress them. This emotional disconnection creates a sense of numbness, leaving a hollow space where life should feel vibrant. Feeling your emotions fully, without judgment, is essential for filling that void. When you allow yourself to experience your feelings, even the painful ones, you reconnect with your own humanity. Awareness and acknowledgement of emotion bring clarity, and clarity creates space for intentional action and fulfillment. A third source of emptiness comes from unhealthy habits or patterns of avoidance. Constant distractions like social media, mindless entertainment, or compulsive routines may temporarily numb the void, but they do not create lasting fulfillment. Filling life with external stimulation instead of internal growth leaves you chronically unsatisfied. Addressing this requires slowing down, creating space for reflection, and intentionally cultivating practices that bring depth. Meditation, journaling, creative expression, or time spent in nature. When you replace avoidance with conscious presence, you begin to feel connected to yourself and the world around you. Loneliness or shallow connections can also contribute to emptiness. Human beings are wired for meaningful relationships, and when we lack deep connection with others, life can feel hollow. Superficial interactions or toxic relationships fail to nourish the soul. Filling this gap requires intentional connection, seeking people who support, inspire, and challenge you, and nurturing bonds that are reciprocal and authentic. Giving and receiving support, sharing experiences, and cultivating empathy transform emptiness into a sense of belonging and shared purpose. Another critical factor is lack of self-acceptance. Many people feel empty because they are disconnected from who they truly are. They hide aspects of themselves to fit expectations, chase validation, or avoid judgment. This creates an internal void because living authentically is essential for fulfillment. Healing emptiness requires embracing yourself fully, acknowledging your strengths, weaknesses, and desires, and aligning your life with your values rather than others' expectations. Self-acceptance creates a foundation of inner fullness that external circumstances cannot take away. Finally, emptiness can be addressed by taking consistent action toward growth and contribution. When you engage in activities that challenge you, teach you, or allow you to help others, life gains meaning. Growth and contribution fill the void because they connect you to something larger than yourself. Whether it's learning a skill, helping someone in need, or pursuing a passion project, action creates momentum, and momentum transforms emptiness into fulfillment. Waiting for life to feel right often prolongs the void. Intentional, consistent effort toward what matters brings a sense of purpose and vitality that naturally dispels emptiness. In essence, emptiness is not permanent. It is a signal, a guide, and an opportunity. By reconnecting with purpose, feeling your emotions fully, reducing avoidance, nurturing meaningful relationships, embracing self-acceptance, and taking intentional action, you transform emptiness into a sense of wholeness. The journey requires honesty, reflection, and courage, but each step forward brings you closer to the life you were meant to experience, a life filled with meaning, connection, and inner fullness. Emptiness often originates from a lack of purpose and is one of the most common reasons people feel a persistent void inside. When life lacks direction or meaning, days can blend together into a monotonous routine, leaving you feeling as though you are moving without moving forward. Even achievements, possessions, or external recognition can feel hollow if they are not connected to something that resonates deeply within you. Purpose is not necessarily grand or public. It is not about fame, wealth, or recognition. Purpose is about knowing what truly matters to you, understanding your values, and aligning your actions with them. When you disconnect from that core, life can feel like a series of empty motions, tasks completed without fulfillment, interactions without connection, and moments without significance. The first step in addressing a lack of purpose is self-reflection. You need to ask yourself meaningful questions. What energizes me? What am I passionate about? What impact do I want to make in my life, in the lives of others, or in the world? Purpose emerges when you connect with the things that make you feel alive. When you identify activities, goals, or causes that give your actions meaning. Without this alignment, you may find yourself drifting through life, fulfilling obligations or following routines that feel disconnected from your inner self. Purpose provides a compass that guides your decisions, shapes your priorities, and infuses even ordinary moments with significance. Understanding your values is a critical part of finding purpose. Your values are the principles that define what is important to you, the standards by which you measure your choices and actions. When your life aligns with your values, every action contributes to a deeper sense of fulfillment. When it doesn't, even achievements can feel meaningless because they are disconnected from who you are at your core. Reflecting on what matters most, whether it's creativity, connection, growth, service, or integrity, helps clarify the areas in which you want to focus your energy. Purpose arises when your goals, habits, and daily actions are consistent with these values. Setting meaningful goals is another way to combat emptiness. Goals give direction, structure, and momentum to your life, transforming vague desires into tangible steps forward. However, it is essential that these goals resonate with your deeper sense of purpose rather than being driven by external expectations, societal pressure, or fleeting trends. When your goals are aligned with your passions and values, every step you take carries significance. Even small achievements in the pursuit of a meaningful goal can create a profound sense of fulfillment because they reinforce your connection to what matters most. Passion plays a vital role in filling the void left by a lack of purpose. Passion is the emotional fuel that makes effort feel worthwhile. When you engage in activities that excite, inspire, challenge you, you feel alive, connected, and motivated. Passion transforms mundane tasks into opportunities for growth and moments of satisfaction. Identifying what you love to do and integrating it into your daily life, even in small ways, can gradually dissolve the sense of emptiness. Purpose and passion together create a powerful combination. Purpose provides direction, while passion energizes the journey. Another essential element is contribution. Purpose is often reinforced when your actions have meaning beyond yourself. Helping others, creating something of value, or participating in causes bigger than your individual experience adds depth and significance to your life. When you contribute, you see the tangible impact of your efforts, and this reinforces a sense of purpose. Contribution does not need to be monumental. Small acts of kindness, sharing your skills, or supporting someone in need can create profound fulfillment. By connecting your purpose to the well-being of others, you create a feedback loop that strengthens your own sense of meaning and satisfaction. Finally, reconnecting with purpose requires intentional action. It is not enough to reflect or dream. You must take steps that align with what matters to you. Action transforms understanding into experience, turning vague awareness into real-life fulfillment. Even small, consistent steps toward goals that resonate with your values can create momentum and begin to fill the emptiness you feel. Over time, this intentional pursuit of purpose becomes self-reinforcing. The more aligned your actions are with your values and passions, the more meaning you experience, and the more motivation you gain to continue pursuing your purpose. In essence, emptiness often stems from a lack of purpose because it leaves life feeling directionless, disconnected, and unfulfilling. Purpose provides a compass, values give clarity, goals give direction, passion provides energy, contribution adds depth, and intentional action transforms awareness into real-life fulfillment. By exploring what truly matters, aligning your actions with your inner values, pursuing meaningful goals, and engaging in passionate, purposeful action, you fill the void with significance, motivation, and a sense of connection to your own life. The journey to purpose is not always immediate, but each step taken toward alignment brings you closer to a life that feels full, intentional, and deeply satisfying. Disconnection from emotions is one of the most common reasons people feel empty or unfulfilled, yet it is often overlooked because emotions are intangible, subtle, and sometimes uncomfortable. Many people spend their lives suppressing, ignoring, or avoiding feelings because they are inconvenient, painful, or socially discouraged. From a young age, we are often taught to be strong, don't cry, or just get over it. And these messages condition us to push emotions aside rather than experience them fully. Over time, this habitual suppression creates a sense of numbness, leaving life feeling hollow, disconnected, and artificial. When you avoid your emotions, you disconnect from your own inner world, making it nearly impossible to experience authentic joy, satisfaction, or purpose. Suppressing emotions may seem like a coping mechanism, but in reality, it only prolongs discomfort and intensifies emptiness. Emotions are signals, guiding you to understand your needs, desires, boundaries, and values. Anger, sadness, fear, or frustration often carry important messages about what is not working in your life. By ignoring them, you block the information that could lead to clarity and positive change. Over time, suppressed emotions accumulate like unprocessed data in your mind, influencing your behavior, decisions, and reactions without your conscious awareness. This internal disconnection creates a sense of inner void, leaving you emotionally flat, unmotivated, and disconnected from your true self. Fully experiencing emotions requires willingness and courage. It means allowing yourself to feel without judgment, resistance, or avoidance. This does not mean acting impulsively or letting emotions control your decisions. Rather, it involves acknowledging their presence and observing them with awareness. When you give yourself permission to feel sadness, fear, anger, or disappointment, you validate your own humanity. Emotional acknowledgement restores a sense of authenticity and allows you to engage with life on a deeper, more meaningful level. Feeling deeply is not weakness, it is the foundation of strength, clarity, and connection. Emotional awareness is a skill that can be developed through practice. The first step is noticing your feelings as they arise without immediately labeling them as good or bad. This might involve simply observing a feeling of discomfort, excitement, or tension in your body or mind. Once you recognize it, allow yourself to explore the emotion. What triggered it? What does it signal? And how is it affecting your thoughts and actions? Journaling, meditation, or simply quiet reflection can help you process these experiences. By practicing awareness, you create a healthy relationship with your emotions, turning them from obstacles into guides for growth and self-understanding. Acknowledging emotions also improves decision-making and clarity. When you suppress feelings, you are forced to operate with incomplete information about yourself and your needs. Choices made under emotional suppression are often reactive or misaligned with your true desires, leading to dissatisfaction and further emptiness. By contrast, understanding and integrating your emotions allows you to make decisions with insight, alignment, and intention. You begin to act not out of fear, habit, or avoidance, but from a place of self-knowledge and purpose. Emotional clarity enhances every aspect of life, from relationships and career choices to personal growth and well-being. Connection to others is also strengthened when you engage with your emotions. Humans are inherently social beings, and empathy, intimacy, and understanding require the ability to recognize and express feelings authentically. Suppressed emotions create barriers to connection because they prevent you from being fully present, vulnerable, and relatable. When you acknowledge and communicate your emotions effectively, you deepen relationships, create trust and foster meaningful bonds. Others respond to authenticity. And by allowing your feelings to be seen and heard, you create an environment where both you and those around you can experience true connection. Finally, fully experiencing emotions cultivates inner fulfillment. Emotions are the palette of life. They bring depth, richness, and texture to our experiences. Happiness, joy, and gratitude are felt more intensely when we allow ourselves to also experience sorrow, struggle, and frustration. The contrast between emotions gives life meaning. By embracing the full spectrum of feeling, you move from a state of numbness to one of presence and vitality. You no longer rely on external validation, distractions, or achievements to fill a void. Fulfillment grows organically from within, grounded in honest, unfiltered emotional experience. In essence, disconnection from emotions creates emptiness because it severs you from your own humanity and from the guidance your inner world provides. Suppression may feel safe in the short term, but it leads to numbness, poor decision-making, and shallow connections. Reconnecting with your emotions requires courage, awareness, and acceptance, but it restores authenticity, strengthens relationships, and cultivates clarity. By fully experiencing and acknowledging your feelings, you reclaim a deep sense of self, fill the internal void, and transform emotional awareness into a source of insight, resilience, and inner fulfillment. Life becomes richer, more vibrant, and more meaningful when you allow yourself to feel fully, not just selectively. Avoidance and unhealthy habits are often at the root of the emptiness many people feel in their lives. When discomfort, pain, or uncertainty arises, it is natural to want to escape or numb those feelings. Modern life provides countless opportunities to distract ourselves. Social media scrolling, binge watching shows, overeating, shopping, mindless internet browsing, or even compulsive work. While these distractions can temporarily mask emptiness, they do not address the underlying causes. Instead, they create a cycle in which avoidance becomes habitual, and the void within grows larger and more persistent. The problem with avoidance is that it only postpones facing reality. The feelings, desires, and needs that are suppressed continue to exist beneath the surface, quietly influencing your thoughts, behavior, and decisions. This creates a disconnect from yourself, leaving you emotionally flat, unsatisfied, and increasingly dependent on external stimulation for temporary relief. Unhealthy habits often develop as coping mechanisms. They are ways of managing discomfort without confronting it directly. For example, eating to soothe stress, scrolling endlessly to escape boredom, or immersing yourself in work to avoid introspection are all forms of avoidance. At first, these strategies may seem effective. They offer immediate relief, a sense of control, or a temporary escape. However, over time, they fail to provide long-term fulfillment. Instead, they reinforce the belief that satisfaction must come from external sources, leaving you disconnected from your internal sense of purpose, emotion, and meaning. This reliance on avoidance prevents you from developing resilience, self-awareness, and the ability to engage fully with life. Breaking free from avoidance begins with conscious presence. This means intentionally bringing your attention to the present moment rather than running from discomfort or seeking constant distraction. Conscious presence allows you to notice your thoughts, feelings, and bodily sensations without judgment. It involves observing what is happening inside and around you, acknowledging it, and choosing how to respond. For example, if you feel anxiety or restlessness, instead of immediately scrolling on your phone or reaching for comfort foods, you might pause and ask yourself why you feel this way, what your body and mind need, or what action would serve you best in that moment. This practice strengthens self-awareness and reconnects you with your inner life. Reflection is another essential tool for overcoming avoidance. Taking time to examine your habits, routines, and thought patterns helps you understand the ways you unconsciously escape from discomfort. Reflection allows you to identify triggers, situations, emotions, or thoughts that push you toward distraction and to recognize patterns that are keeping you disconnected from yourself. Journaling, meditation, or simply quiet contemplation can help illuminate the areas of life that are unexamined or neglected. Through reflection, you begin to see that the emptiness you feel is not a random or unchangeable state, but a signal pointing toward parts of your life that require attention, growth, and conscious action. Intentional practices are the bridge between awareness and transformation. Once you recognize avoidance and unhealthy habits, the next step is replacing them with constructive routines that foster depth, connection, and fulfillment. Practices such as mindfulness meditation, creative expression, exercise, or engaging in meaningful projects encourage active participation in life rather than passive distraction. These habits not only redirect energy toward growth, but also cultivate resilience, patience, and self-knowledge. Intentional practices create opportunities to confront discomfort, process emotions, and engage with your purpose, gradually filling the emptiness that avoidance once masked. Part of this process is learning to tolerate discomfort. Life is inherently unpredictable, and challenges, uncertainty, and emotional intensity are unavoidable. When you rely on avoidance, you are training yourself to fear discomfort rather than develop the capacity to navigate it. Emptiness is often intensified by the avoidance itself because the unresolved feelings, unmet needs, or unexamined experiences remain active in your subconscious. By choosing to face discomfort, even in small ways, you build emotional resilience and cultivate the ability to experience life fully. Over time, what once felt unbearable becomes manageable, and you gain the confidence to act rather than escape, to feel rather than numb, and to engage rather than withdraw. Another critical aspect is connecting with meaning and purpose. Avoidance often occurs when life feels mundane, repetitive, or disconnected from personal values. Filling the void requires more than eliminating distractions. It requires actively creating experiences, relationships, and goals that resonate with your deeper self. By intentionally engaging in activities that matter to you, you replace the temporary relief of avoidance with lasting satisfaction. Purposeful action fills the void with significance, energy, and motivation, allowing life to feel rich, vibrant, and fulfilling rather than hollow. In essence, avoidance and unhealthy habits offer only temporary relief from emptiness. Constant distractions, numbing behaviors, and passive routines may mask discomfort for a time, but they do not create genuine fulfillment. True transformation requires conscious presence, reflection, intentional practices, and the courage to face discomfort directly. By slowing down, observing your inner world, and choosing constructive, purposeful actions, you reconnect with yourself, cultivate emotional resilience, and restore depth to your life. The emptiness that once felt overwhelming gradually diminishes as you engage fully with your emotions, your purpose, and your daily experiences, allowing your life to become meaningful, vibrant, and truly satisfying. Lack of meaningful connections is a powerful source of emptiness that many people experience without fully realizing it. Human beings are inherently social creatures, wired to seek connection, understanding, and belonging. We thrive when we feel seen, heard, and valued by others, and conversely, we struggle when our relationships lack depth, authenticity, or reciprocity. Superficial interactions or toxic relationships may provide temporary comfort or a sense of familiarity, but they rarely satisfy the innate human need for genuine connection. Over time, relying on these shallow bonds can leave life feeling hollow, lonely, and emotionally unsatisfying, even when you are surrounded by people. One of the reasons superficial relationships fail to fulfill is that they do not allow for authentic expression. In many social contexts, people interact out of obligation, social norms, or convenience rather than genuine interest and care. Conversations may revolve around trivial topics, pleasantries, or performance rather than true sharing of thoughts, feelings, and experiences. In these interactions, both parties remain partially hidden, unable to fully express who they are or explore their emotional depth. While these surface-level interactions may feel comfortable, they do not nourish the soul or foster a sense of belonging. Authentic connections, by contrast, require openness, vulnerability, and mutual respect. Toxic relationships compound the feeling of emptiness by draining energy, undermining self-esteem, and creating emotional instability. Relationships that are critical, controlling, manipulative, or inconsistent prevent trust from forming and can lead to chronic stress or anxiety. Instead of providing support and enrichment, these connections reinforce feelings of inadequacy and disconnection, even if you maintain them out of habit, obligation, or fear of loneliness. Toxic relationships erode your sense of self and hinder the experience of genuine fulfillment. Escaping or redefining these harmful bonds is essential for emotional well-being and the creation of meaningful connections. Building authentic connections begins with understanding yourself. It is difficult to form deep relationships without clarity about your own values, boundaries, and emotional needs. Self-awareness allows you to recognize the types of relationships that will nurture rather than drain you. By reflecting on what qualities you value in others, trustworthiness, empathy, shared curiosity, or mutual respect, you can identify people who inspire, support, and challenge you in positive ways. This awareness helps you focus energy on connections that have the potential to be meaningful rather than expending effort on relationships that leave you feeling empty. Vulnerability is a crucial element of deep connection. To cultivate meaningful bonds, you must allow yourself to be seen as you truly are, which includes your fears, desires, and imperfections. Vulnerability creates space for intimacy and trust, allowing others to respond authentically in return. It is natural to feel fear or hesitation in revealing your inner self, especially if you have experienced judgment, rejection, or betrayal in the past. However, withholding vulnerability keeps relationships superficial and perpetuates the sense of emptiness. When you take the risk to open up, you invite reciprocity and create the foundation for a connection that is mutually enriching and fulfilling. Intentionality is also key. Deep connections rarely emerge spontaneously. They require effort, attention, and investment. Spending quality time with others, engaging in meaningful conversations, and participating in shared experiences fosters trust, empathy, and emotional intimacy. Even small acts of attentiveness, such as listening without distraction, remembering personal details, or offering support during difficult times, reinforce the depth of a relationship. By prioritizing these intentional practices, you create bonds that are based on genuine care rather than convenience or routine. Contribution and mutual support further strengthen meaningful relationships. Authentic connections flourish when both parties feel seen, appreciated, and supported. Being present for someone else, offering encouragement, and celebrating their successes nurtures the bond, just as receiving support strengthens your sense of connection. When relationships are reciprocal and grounded in respect, they provide a reliable source of emotional nourishment. Through these interactions, life gains texture, warmth, and significance, replacing the hollowness created by superficial or toxic bonds. In essence, lack of meaningful connections leaves life feeling hollow because it deprives you of one of the most fundamental human needs, the need for belonging, understanding, and emotional intimacy. Superficial or toxic relationships may provide temporary distraction or familiarity, but they fail to nourish the soul. Building authentic bonds requires self-awareness, vulnerability, intentional effort, and mutual support. By seeking relationships that inspire, challenge, and sustain you, and by investing in those connections with care and presence, you create a network of meaning, trust, and belonging. These relationships not only reduce feelings of emptiness, but also enhance your emotional resilience, personal growth, and overall sense of fulfillment, transforming life into an experience rich with connection and depth.